It is playoff week. I am
It's a
your
wrap.
host, Josh Grossman. With me, as always, my co-host, Jeff Hahn, Landon Rush. Boys, are you ready?
Boy, I can't wait for this playoffs. I'm so excited.
Very ready.
With the three of us,
I'm
we
scared.
invite three additional playoff managers for a hot six'em. Chris Rolands, our producer extraordinaire, Bryden Corey, and Adam Moreau, aka Taco. This is Fantasy Inception. Gents, thank you guys for being here. Landon, you are our fourth playoff team. I should mention that off the bat. This will be a more playful episode because there's just too many people to actually talk about fantasy.
And
Brian,
we don't know anything about
you
fantasy.
know,
At least one
You,
that doesn't know anything about fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Brad, you joined the league last year and you co-won the league in your first year, and now you're back in the playoffs in year number 2. Do you just feel like you own the league at this point?
It's getting hard not to feel that way. I mean, it's just getting undeniable at this point. No, I mean, it's nice. I wouldn't have predicted that necessarily going in, just because everybody takes it pretty seriously, follows pretty closely, and maintains their team. And with only 4 playoff spots, that's just tough to do no matter what.
And you didn't draft your team.
I didn't. Well, you didn't draft your team either. It was an auction. So no, I was on a golf trip. And I designated that to Bill Colbert.
Wow.
So you can thank for that. Yep.
Yeah.
Is that serious? Did that happen this year?
Yeah,
What?
I'm serious. That did happen this year.
Did you
Like,
tell
are
him?
you-
Did you tell him to draft 3 defenses, or is that a Colbert move that he just?
No, he said that was late and he'd had too much to drink. He apologized. But you know what? I'm not going to lie. It was helpful to me in the first few weeks of the season. I got big points out of the defenses I started in the first 3 weeks. And I rotated them between those. I think, 30-some points with a couple of them. So
It
I
worked.
probably wouldn't do it again. But, hey, you got to have some shit like that and break your way to win a fantasy football league.
What was your first reaction when you saw the team?
Well, the wide receivers are
Jack.
stacked, yeah. And I've always been both a sneaky Stafford and Goff fan. I think they are maybe better fantasy options than they are real life options these days. So I didn't. I mean, at the end of
Stafford
the
won a
draft,
Super Bowl.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
At the
pretty
end-
good.
At the end of the draft, there's just drags. So fuck it, take a couple defenses.
Well, you
Okay.
picked up Puka. That was a nice little move early in the season.
It's worked out very well, especially when he and Stafford connect. Doubling up there, that's nice.
Double
He's
rainbow.
He's kind of double rainbow. He's kind of tailed off since obviously Cubs come back and hasn't had some big explosive plays like he had early, but he's not a guy you can be upset about having to roll out in a starting lineup.
Sure.
Yeah.
Chris, you are in the playoffs for your second year in a row. This time you are the 4 seed after being the 1 seed last year. Is there less pressure on you now being the 4 seed versus being the top dog last year?
I'd say so, yeah. Last year I kind of got hosed a little bit, if you ask me, with Kyler going down. Then Hopkins had third string throwing to him, so we got the shaft there. But no knock to your team, because you fought hard. Actually, similar to me this year. 5 weeks ago, I was in 8th place at 4-6, and just reeled off wins and Bryden, kind of like you were talking, my defense came up solid. Kyron Williams came back. He's been a beast.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Lamar has stepped up from earlier in the year. So, yeah, they just kind of came on at the right time. And then I got a few breaks with the other teams, like Fenders, thankfully fell off. And, yeah.
Lamari Christmas.
What a joke.
Do you feel like winning 5 in a row, like you are the hot team out of the playoff teams?
I mean, maybe. Well, actually, I'd say yes. So it's funny. The last two, I beat Landon, beat Bryden, both top scoring teams in the league, and I did it essentially without a quarterback or that second super flex position. So yeah, they've been stepping up. Thankfully,
Shoot.
Landon's team isn't that good. And I know it broke a couple hearts the other night, but yeah, it's been good. Now, saying that, looking at Landon's team going forward, they do scare me a little bit. So we'll see.
The podcast immediately got better this episode without Fender being on it, right? Can't we agree with that? So,
Oh man, hey,
Oh, boy.
Absolutely.
Oh, dude, he's the worst.
The good thing is he's with the 6 of us on, he's the only viewer. So we know
Oh
that.
no!
Okay, can I say something on that note? Fender, I fucking think he hates me. I think he doesn't get my humor, and I beat him and kind of rub it in his face, just giving him, and he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it, or doesn't seem to.
Better with people at this point in his life, just understanding people, talking.
He's getting worse.
Past.
Actually.
What
Let's
happens
just
when you
spend
get up there in
45
age,
Yeah.
I'm sure he likes you. He has the same reaction to everything, which is like a little defensive half smirk to every reaction, anything that anybody says. So
Yeah, but it's like I can't see the smirk. So
I think it's a little bit of a confused smirk too.
Yeah,
he's getting older. Yeah.
he's not even sure
Well,
if he made a joke or yeah.
Just a slight.
That's funny because he was texting. I think he texted you, Landon, and said, "What are you trying to throw this game?" And then in the background, Landon's texting me like, "What are you doing not playing this guy?" And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I did not want Fender to make the playoffs, so it all worked out. I'm happy
His
with
team
it.
is good.
Jeez. He's catching
We're
strays
good,
here
too.
tonight.
Moreau, fun fact, did you know that you have made the playoffs every other year for the last 6 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Did I
you're-
make last year or no? I didn't make last
No,
year.
every other year.
no, odd years only.
Yeah. Always
So
in the
next
hunt.
year you should just not try.
Just 2025. That'll be the next year.
I'll just not pay attention next year, even more.
Exactly.
As usual.
Just
I think we
We're on
probably
this season.
less this year to remind me to field the team and change a player. Right?
Yeah.
Instead of regular
this season, you're-
sure. I'm looking at the roster and not fucking
man,
Somehow
get
gets
he's not even the
somehow gets
commissioner.
second place.
It's more Dynasty because I care
Oh.
about your team in Dynasty.
that team. That team's the worst.
Who's the most valuable player in your dynasty?
Like the whole league?
Probably Hurts or McCaffrey, I'd say.
No.
Yeah,
CMC's CMC's putting up the most points.
So,
Yeah.
Well,
It's still
okay, so
good.
who's like a young guy that's getting more value in that than in just a one-off league?
Got to be
Puka.
Rashee Rice, right, boys? Got to say Rashee Rice.
Okay,
he's been a stud. Yeah.
What a pickup!
money.
Oh, get over yourself.
seriously.
Everybody scoffed, and here I am.
You could have got him in the second round.
I probably could have. You're right, but I got
Yeah.
Levis there.
And that turned out okay. All right,
So
thanks for
far.
coming on. Monroe, this season you have wins against Landon and Chris, and you only lost to Bryden by less than 2 points. But you have the least amount of points scored by a significant amount. So how confident are you that you can compete and beat these other playoff teams?
Done it all year. It's timing. I've squeaked by in a lot of games. Sharp defender. And be out of the playoffs. So
Yeah.
only 0.02 this. You just got to show up in the right time, right week. I'm ready. My team doesn't. Looks like Chase is out. right? I think he's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, look at 3 other players' projections went down last 24 hours. So I'm feeling the same I feel every week, which is someone's going to squeak. I'm going to squeak by. I'll see Land in the playoffs.
Oh wow! All right, I like that.
You haven't won the championship since 2008. Does that put any pressure on you? Were you aware that it's been that long?
When it was 16.
I think I had Jacobs too. With that, yeah, it was a pretty stacked team. No pressure. You guys know I feel no pressure.
Yeah.
I feel like a team every week. Never.
Landon, last year I won. The year before that, Jeff won. Are you going to do the podcast proud by winning this year?
I really, really hope so. That's what you guys told me when we started this season, and kind of coming to fruition at this point, but I hope to, for sure.
I mean, even if Chris wins, though, right? I mean, we got our producer that's
Yeah.
going to the championship at the very
true.
least. So
Yeah.
either way, we're bet we got 50% at least. You know, somebody's going to the championship. We got a chance here.
So why don't I play? I'll play Moreau. Landon, you play Bryden.
No, we're gonna
That
hedge.
way-
We're gonna hedge and make sure we get there.
I would
Landon,
love to play Moreau.
as commissioner, you changed the league from 1 QB to Superflex this year. I want your take on it now that the season is pretty much over. And do we have any changes coming down the line next year?
As far as the Superflex, I think I do like it. It adds, it just obviously makes quarterbacks more valuable, and decisions are a little bit more difficult, or maybe easier if you have 2 good quarterbacks. But yeah, I think I'm happy with it. I think maybe as far as changes go, maybe add an extra roster spot to the starting lineup. I think and make like 2 flexes and a super flex, but I don't know. We'll dabble in that in the off season, but
Maybe an IR spot.
And an IR spot, yes. I'm for the IR spot. You shouldn't have to drop somebody.
Third wide receiver. That's
I
what
agree
that's
with
it.
that 100%. I think the third wide receiver, go back to that.
All right.
Because look, this is great because you should have 2 quarterbacks you can start. One that's really good and one that at least is fine, as opposed to what else is out there at the spot. There's only 20 should be rostered up really, so it matches the value of the position in the real game.
Sure, I mean 30 are going to be rostered though, at least out of 36. I mean, I'm just saying, everybody's going to be picking up a backup quarterback because they realize the value of it, in a 2 QB league. So there's only 6 out there now. Granted, this year has been a little unique in the fact that we've had so many injuries, in particular to quarterbacks, that it's really opened the door to guys going out there and spending waiver wire money and whatnot to pick some of those guys up. But you look at guys like some of the rookies. CJ Stroud was out there from the very beginning, and what a great pickup by Fender. So there's only probably like 6 out there to begin the season.
But he's now out.
I know.
Many good ones.
Yeah.
So really, there's like 10 teams out there that probably really aren't thrilled about their quarterback.
But you think about it, there's probably like 4 just awful, like the Ritters of the world quarterbacks out there, the Zach Wilsons, that like they're going to be out there for ever because they're terrible.
Do you want to be starting Gardner? Do you want to be starting
Jimmy
Gardner
G's,
Minshew?
Bryce Youngs? Oh, I'd start Gardner Minshew over.
I'm saying
Kenny
even
Pickett.
those guys, even the middle of the field guys now are not very good because they've been diluted by injuries. Like, do you want to start Derek Carr or Mac Jones when he was those types of guys? Hell no.
Yeah,
But you get in that position like me, like with Geno being out the past 2 weeks. So I was going to ask you, Landon, is that why you picked up Minshew to block me from picking him up?
I did think about that was part of it, yes, but I also wanted.
Yes, it was.
I mean, yeah, I would say that's 75% of that move. But I also wanted a decent third quarterback just to have. But I'm actually debating if I should play him over Kyler. So I don't know. We'll see.
Really?
What?
Okay.
Kyler's
Bears
going
defense has been playing pretty good.
in Chicago, so
Yeah, it's going to be rainy too, right?
He hasn't been good the last 2 games, so we'll see.
Well, because I'm thinking of not starting Geno. And at that point, obviously, like last week, I should have played Singletary. I got screwed with Geno playing on Monday. But, yeah, this week I got a decision to make.
I hope you make the wrong one.
We'll talk about matchups in a little bit. Let's play a little game. We're going to do Would You Rather. Fantasy style. All right. Would you rather lose the championship to Bryden or Jeff? Moreau, we'll go with you. And give me a little explanation.
Or to Jeff?
Bryden or to Jeff?
Assuming Jeff would be in it? Well, I understand.
You're in the championship. You're going to lose, and it's either against Bryden or Jeff. Who would you rather lose to?
I'd rather lose to Brad. I think.
Any reason?
There's like a Jeff, I'm sorry, but it's like I take a little pleasure in like sometimes just being better than you. Knowing you're on the podcast,
I mean, it's hard. I get it. I'm good at what I do here for a reason, right? So, like, I understand that you want to beat the best.
Yeah, no, it's more like I feel like
your team couldn't do crap against mine last week, right? I mean, and so I could potentially could have been the worst team in the league, but instead your boy got that BJV because you couldn't put up a win.
Yeah, those were amazing. All I do was beat you, and he's 9 plays, and he's like, my dad's kind of deserving to be last anyway.
That's right.
Sure does.
Chris, what about you? Who would you rather lose to?
What'd you say?
Who would you rather lose to?
I would say I'd rather lose to Jeff.
Okay.
Because Bryden is one of those guys, when he wears the apparel that he wears, you just got to question him, question his intentions, his sanity.
Yeah. You sleep in Notre Dame football uniform. Like, come on.
It's a onesie.
What's wrong with
uniform?
That? Yeah.
Hey, Kyron Williams, baby.
You don't come to Notre Dame to win most of them, some of them. You come to Notre Dame to win all of them. And anything less than profession should be unsatisfactory.
Landon, what about you?
I think I'd rather lose to Bryden. Bryden would, I think, talk more shit for sure.
Oh, he's the worst. He's the absolute worst in the league.
But
that's what I was getting at with this one.
I see Geoff more, and I think he would rub it in more.
It's fun to be a champ.
In person, so I'd rather lose to Bryden.
Okay. Next one. If you had to co-manage a team.
Landon, that's because you've got a lot of practice at it.
No.
If you had to co-manage a team, would you rather your co-manager be Moreau or Chris? Jeff, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick Moreau here only because I'm pretty sure he just give me the keys to Ferrari and let it run, baby. I mean, like, let's go. Like, Moreau, this is the decision. These are the guys we're picking up, and this is why, like, let it be.
Let me draft, and then you do the rest.
That's right. I can work around that.
Yeah.
It won't be a disaster.
Chris, and for sort of the opposite of what you were just saying, Geoff, because I think
you want me to drive.
Sometimes but sometimes I need somebody who can talk me off a ledge, or talk a little sense into me if I'm getting
3 defenses.
Well, that'd be good too. But sometimes you need a reality check. You're holding on to a guy too long because you get some sort of sentimental attachment, or you, for whatever reason, you need to move on from somebody. You need to. So probably Chris, because I've only been in this league 2 years. Moreau, didn't he finish dead last year? So that's really all I know.
Nope, not dead last.
No,
untrue. But the year before that, I was in the playoffs. Right?
That was beat.
In the championships, you lost to me.
That's right.
That's right.
Championship. Another
Landon?
Yeah, I'm really torn on this because I do like the idea of being with Moreau and then just kind of taking over. But I also think, as been talked about on this podcast, I make a lot of quick decisions and drop players when I shouldn't. And I think Rolance would maybe reel me in a little bit. So I'm going to go with Rolance. And
you're a terrible drafter. You've always been terrible.
I am a bad drafter.
You get sweaty.
I'm a good drafter.
Your team was solid this year, man. Your draft was solid. You just dropped all the guys that you needed. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I had Anthony Richardson. You know, that was my second
solid
quarterback. Pick. That would have been real nice to have all year. But yeah,
you had Rachaad White. You just didn't wait long enough.
Yeah, I dropped him for Kyler. I regret that, but yeah, you know, I make dumb moves. That's why maybe I don't have many titles under my belt.
You have a few.
I have a few.
Yeah. Next one. This is the Brad and Corey special. You're unable to make the draft next year, but one of the other managers is going to draft for you in good faith. Would you rather it be Matt or Bino?
Oh, that's a good one.
Who wants to go first?
I take Bino for sure.
Matt Finder?
Yeah.
Who's Matt?
Bino would make sure he's a little bit better than Finder would actually try to do very well for you.
I'll take Bill Colbert.
I respect me. There's no chance you're gonna draft a team for me as good as your own team. There's a Finder might draft a better team just because he's such a nice guy.
There you go. See, we compliment him.
Good point.
Yeah.
Chris?
I would plant a grenade for you, for sure.
No, if in good faith, if you're going in good faith, I would say Bino. Because if you look at his team, especially in Clowntown, I think he's been one of the highest point scorers the past 2 years, which I think he's only – how many years has he been in the league? Not many. He just gets the worst draws as far as who he plays and his point totals. But he's a hell of a drafter. I know, obviously, he did well in Dynasty, too, past 2 years.
To be clear, he's the better fantasy player. That's why I don't think he would allow for a good draft.
That's true.
I don't think he would allow himself to do that. I mean that with respect.
That's my problem. My problem with this question is I just cannot imagine a scenario where I go along with this. I just hell no.
Here's the difference. Like Bino's a very good value drafter. He drafts a lot of players in pockets where their dollar range obviously is below what maybe they should be going for. Where Finder, I mean, he puts in the research though at the same time. Like he does research on, like he listens to probably a lot of podcasts. It seems like because he's drafting the guys that these podcast players are high on. It seems like, and he's come a long way.
He sure has.
So which one would you want?
But yeah, Bill Colbert. He's drafting my next team if I can't be there.
Okay, got it, Bill.
You know, doing an auction draft is like racing in the Indy 500. You can think about it and read about it all you want, but that doesn't mean shit. It's when you're in it. Because so many things that are happening that are outside of your control. Like, you can't listen to enough podcasts to know every scenario that's going to play out. So you have to feel it. Like, is there a run on a position? Is there a shallow position that's getting gobbled up? Like, do you need to, fill a spot or just take value? And so I don't know what these guys do in the draft. GF, basically, you'd say it'd be Bino by a mile, though, because
I know for a fact that Bino is looking at teams during the draft. I don't know if Finder does this, but I know that Bino is looking at teams, like what positions they filled, because we were at B-Dubs and we were all enjoying some wings and a few Cokes, and I'm looking back over my shoulder and I see him sitting in the booth by himself, and he's looking at that screen, that chart that pops up that shows all the managers, like what rosters they have accumulated as far as positions go, and he's drafting according. I mean, I don't have enough time during the draft to pay attention to all that nonsense. Like my brain just doesn't process that. Like I've got my
and you drank
too
much at golf.
I probably drink too much at golf and then drink too much during the draft to comprehend. So just killing brain cells.
Landon,
Cheers.
did you answer?
Yeah, I said Bino right off the bat.
Cool.
I can't trust Fender to do anything for me. So
All right, next one. Landon quits being the commish. Would you rather the new commish be Walter or BJV?
Oh God.
Oh.
It's got to be great.
All right. Well, if it's Walter, we know that the league fees are going down, right? Like, what are we paying? $10 a man for the season? $100 pot at the end of the year. So I guess I'll take BJV.
Yeah. If there's
Anything
anyone
goes with BJV.
than me in fantasy, it's Walter.
Walter.
I feel like if I cared enough about a topic, I feel like BJV would be a kind ear for that. I feel like Walter. I think Walter just doesn't give a shit.
BJV would completely eliminate every position. Quarterback, wide receivers, they're gone. It's a running back only league. We're all drafting running backs. We're going 72 deep here, and we'll just see where the cards may fall. Right? Yeah.
loves his running back.
I know the one thing Walter would do. Walter would eliminate probably 3 to 4 bench spots.
Like that.
That man does not like the bench. He wants everybody on the wire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. More starting positions, less bench.
There you go. Yeah.
He likes to walk that tightrope without a safety net now. I gotta say,
that's where the skill is, man. The skill is being able to put guys on your bench, and that's where the real fantasy pros separate themselves from the youth, the Utes.
The youth.
Right? Is that right? Yeah.
It's true, man. It eliminates luck. It eliminates luck.
no.
It forces the individual. It also forces the individual to know matchups, to play matchups. Play the right starting person, not leave points on their bench. So
Yeah.
you got to know about fantasy football, right? You got to know about real football, I guess. But
then when you got a game time decision because your guy is injured and you got a serviceable bench player and you got to roll the dice, sometimes you get fucked. So there's some of that too.
I mean, that's just fantasy. That stuff's bound to happen no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Shallow bench spots,
So if you eliminate bench spots, then it eliminates that. It's like you got your lineup, and hey, if somebody's
No,
a
it
game
doesn't.
time, yeah, if somebody's
It
rolled
doesn't
out,
eliminate game time decisions where it makes it even harder because now you're holding 4 guys, say, on your bench, and you have a guy that's questionable going into the game. You basically, let's say he has the Monday night game. Let's say it's Geno Smith, and you basically have to play the other guy, knowing that Geno could not potentially not play to where you could get it at 0.
I guess
Like Singletary and Geno.
Pick somebody else.
Whereas if you have a deeper bench, maybe you do pick up Drew Lock, JIC.
yes,
right?
and then it was literally a minute before the start of the game they
I
decided.
know that was tough. I've never seen it. That was crazy.
Okay,
Yeah.
think about this. Think about this. I've had my wide receivers have been banged up, pretty banged up. Like Jefferson came back that week and then he immediately got hurt. The next week, do I roll the dice with him and hope it pays off, or do I go with the safe move and play Metcalf? If I didn't have a bench, I just have to fucking bite the bullet, play one, and you're not sweating bullets.
So I think we're saying the same thing. I think we're both in agreement. We want deeper benches.
Yeah.
Deeper benches more than we have now.
You're not going to get hit by injuries.
You can't predict injuries.
Exactly.
That's true. I know that.
A third of the teams every year. If you have less bench spots, you can easily pivot. If you have more bench spots, there are more good players just gobbled up sitting on other people's benches that you can't get a hold of.
But every other team in the league,
have more bench spots per team.
But everybody else is dealing with the same problem.
Yeah.
You level the playing field against injuries if you have less bench spots.
No, because if you have less bench spots and you don't have IR, and a guy like Chase misses a game, and you have Jefferson and 2 other players that are elite, you're dropping an elite player because you don't have the bench spot.
But
that's what would happen. Yeah.
More quality players available. So if you have an injury, you can pick somebody up who's of higher quality. Now, if you're an injured player, you can't. It might be a crapshoot week to week.
And here's the thing. I get all that, but every other team is dealing with the same issue. So it doesn't.
Here's an example from this year.
It redefines the parameters for everybody.
Here's an example from this year. I had Nick Chubb, right? If we had a deeper bench, I probably would have picked up Jerome Ford, to just sit on my bench and stash him just in case my number one running back goes down, right? But given the limitations of our bench, I couldn't necessarily hold him, wanting to hold some of my other players too. Now I could, sure, but like that obviously blocks a bench spot for myself. Now that's why I wanted a little bit of a deeper bench to protect myself, because then the next thing that happens after Chubb goes down is everybody's running out to the waiver wire, and I'm getting outbid for 7/10 of our waiver wire budget, and I can't cover it.
You don't have to worry.
You don't have to protect yourself because there's more players. Now,
exactly.
Right, correct, though. Everyone is dealing with it. Everyone's got the same amount of risk to injury.
You don't have to stash players because they'll be. Well, but that you cannot predict that.
Right, exactly. You want to take injury risk down across the league, you lower the bench spots.
No, absolutely not. No, you take injury risk down by getting the backups, by being able to kind of say like, hey, this player's been injured, potentially has maybe going on IR. You can draft his counterpart and put that on your team.
Yeah, you're just extending the risk into your bench.
I mean,
no, I'm not.
I think
I'm picking up the backup.
I think that's a strategy though, because would you pick up Ford over Najee Harris in that case? Let's say Najee was still on to be drafted.
Also, you guys are completely forgetting about buys. If you have a bad bye week and you have a 3 or 4 person bench, you're dropping a stud onto the waivers, when that shouldn't be how fantasy works.
Yeah,
unless you just want to forfeit the week, which
you shouldn't have to do that. That's crazy.
Never.
Right.
I don't know why. I'm not trying to die on this hill because I honestly wouldn't want to do this. I'm just sort of playing devil's advocate though here. It's like you don't have to stash players or have handcuffs because you don't have to start your good players back up because there's a better starter on another team fucking in the waiver wire or in the free agent pool.
And Grossman,
to me, it seems like it takes like some skill out of it.
According to
1,000%, man.
Yeah, it takes the skill out of it when you can just go to the waiver wire and pick up, I don't know, I just can't think of a name.
Just think about it this way. How many times a season have you been like, oh, I'm getting fucked by an injury here?
Yeah, maybe this year.
5, 10.
It's part of fantasy football, though.
That would no longer happen. That would no longer happen.
Yes, it would.
But if you look at,
and plus you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck with, given the IR rules of the NFL, you are going to be forced to make the worst decisions by putting like, what do I hold this guy for 4 weeks and wait till he comes back? No, with a limited bench spot, you're going to have to cut him, and all of a sudden that guy in 3 weeks or maybe even 2 weeks becomes the most valuable player on the waiver wire, and you lose him. And that was probably the guy you spent 75% of your, or let's not even say that, 50% of your free agency or your auction budget on.
I like the thought of another player, Landon, because like let's get the points of this league into the 140s and 150s consistent. I think it'd be fun. There's too many people like Geoff and Brannick scoring less than 100 every single week.
It's all relative. It doesn't even matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't even matter like what the scoring is.
Yeah, let's get one bench.
That has nothing to do with the scoring. How would that impact scoring? How would eliminating a bench spot
having one player does?
Let's make passing QBs worth like passing touchdowns worth 12 and rushing touchdowns worth 18.
Lord.
Like what the hell's like? Scoring doesn't matter. It's all relative. It's like saying there's a par
we have 12 bench spots in Dynasty.
If I make it a par 7 and we all take sixes on it, we all make birdies.
I'm completely fucked in Dynasty because I'm injured everywhere. And there's
thank you. Blaine Grossman.
I'm done. I'm done.
Dynasty is different though. 1, you have a bunch of rookies, and 2, those starting rosters are really, really deep. So it's not
it would never be that deep.
That would be acceptable. you would we could have 6 bench spots, and you'd still be looking at the waivers, being like, my 4th receiver is going to be a crappy receiver if I run into bad injury luck. So that's just a different.
Well, where you have where it's a super flex, you have Cheelan who has like 6 quarterbacks.
What's up?
Cheelan has like 6 quarterbacks.
If you
had at one point.
Doesn't matter anymore.
But you know what he doesn't have?
There would not be all these people on rosters riding the bench. They would be into the pool to draw from.
That's correct.
Right.
No, it takes the decision making out of it. Like, there's guys like Jordan Addison is a great example. Do I start him every single week? Zay Flowers, another good example. Like, these guys, you look at them and you're like, do I start them on my starting roster, or do I let them? That's the skill of fantasy football, is making the decision to be able to put that player in or not, given a certain week or situation or whatever. Like, that's where the skill comes in.
Yeah, I don't think you shouldn't go on your waiver wire and see those types of guys. In my opinion, it takes.
I've played in 4 bench spot leagues. It's the worst. It sucks.
All right,
next topic.
Together. You're in the championship.
Moreau gets it.
I get it.
It's not a good side to be on, Bryden.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You guys,
losing side.
Hold on. I am gonna
mute Bryden.
No, we're moving on.
I am gonna.
No, you're not getting the last word in here. I already did. We're done. Moving on. Hey,
Dave Walter's gonna run an I-Core case study on the numbers if we did this in a league, and show us how it would improve everything. So
blue case, red case. Got it.
Yep.
You are in the championship, and you are struggling with who to start in your flex. You have 3 flex options, which are equally good to you. So you pose the question to the 3 hosts of the podcast, Landon, Jeff, and myself, and each of us tells you a different starting player.
Oh,
whose start-sit advice do you take? Chris.
Ooh.
Chris does this like every other week.
So what you guys don't know is I go to each one of you individually. I go to, and then I text the group. I would say Grossman. I feel like between Grossman and Jeff, I think Grossman probably spends a little bit more time on it.
Probably a lot more.
I think a lot more, and I think he gets his information from Bino, anyways. So
Bino? Is that the answer then?
So Bino's the 4th one I text then to confirm what you guys tell me.
Yeah,
I would say Grossman. I go with Grossman on this one.
All right, Moreau.
But Jeff and Landon, obviously nothing against you guys. You're great.
you didn't even mention my name. You said between Geoff and Jordan.
I'll tell you what, if it's a wide receiver matchup,
just trying to make you feel
gotta come
better.
to me.
I go to Hondo's Huddle for sure.
And this question is assuming Landon is not an active playoff participant.
Right, you're not going against Landon.
Probably Grossman, and Grossman, I give you the nod because you've been there for me in a lot of weeks to give me a couple pointers.
First rounder. First rounder for Pickett. That was a good one.
You're honestly trying to help me every week in fantasy. So
it's always objective.
Trade me Jamar Chase. This is going to be a great deal for you. I'll give you Kenny Pickett.
He gives me good advice and he tries to fuck me at every trade.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Thank you.
And for this trade,
I forgot. I'm retracting mine.
I told you to hang on to Chase.
He goes, don't give up Chase.
It was good advice.
It is good advice.
I really wanted to. Oh my god, I was close. And I should have. He's fucking late this week. I should have landed. God damn it! See, got to go with Grossman's advice.
No.
I just proved my own point. Go with Grossman's advice. Fuck. Yeah.
Bryden, say Landon just to make sure he doesn't kill himself.
It's all right.
It would be Landon. It would be Landon.
There you go.
Geoff, I think Geoff, you overthink it a little bit.
That's fair.
I've listened to Hondo's Huddle, and if you're if you've got some of those like issues facing you, you're thinking about some of those players, things have gone wrong. So I think Landon has kind of just like a fucking roll the dice sort of attitude at the end of the day. Like,
all right, thank you.
Yeah, so there we go. No offense, Grossman. I think you'd probably be.
Oh, I think I probably overthink it just as much. All right, let's look at the matchups. I'm not gonna share the screen, but we'll talk about the playoff matchups. We'll start with Landon versus Chris, 1 versus 4. Landon, you lost to Chris last week, where Chris was, like he said, only starting 1 QB. You decided to bench Waddle, even though Hill didn't start, and you probably lost Pittman for the week. First, I do think you were trying to lose on purpose, which whatever.
No, I actually wasn't. The Waddle thing, it was going against the Jets, and I felt like Ty Chandler was a better play there, who ended up having a really good day. But
23 points.
Yeah, but yeah, Waddle, it was, I don't know. Yeah, I was trying to win, so let's get that out there.
Does losing to Chris and then having to play him the very next week make you less confident than if you had lost to Chris, early in the season?
I think it makes me more confident that I don't think I can lose to him 2 times in a row back to back. With the fact that my team has been pretty good this year, so I don't think he's going to beat me in consecutive weeks. So I feel more confident.
I'm starting to feel like I'm used,
exactly
throwaway down.
Yep. At least that's what I'm
like
telling
I'm a
myself.
Saturday night fling.
No, I like it. If that's what I'm telling myself in Dynasty, where I'm going to lose 3 times in a season to Blackman. If Pittman doesn't go, which it's looking like he probably won't.
How does he play? Right? There's no chance. The guy got like broken in half last week. It was terrible by Minshew.
Yeah.
So who, Landon, are you thinking about starting in his place? You going with Chandler again?
Yeah, most likely it will be Chandler. The Vikings coach today said something like he's pretty much the guy now. So it would be great if
all season.
Yeah, it'd be great if Madison was out. That would make me feel more confident about it. But I would probably roll with Chandler at this point.
Okay, Chris. Addison is coming off of 26 fantasy points last week. Hunter Henry is having is going against the best
Denver defense
against Denver, and is coming off of 2 monster games.
They love him in the red zone.
You have them both on the bench. I think that's still true. Talk us through your thinking in starting guys like Singletary and Cooper and injured Jacobs ahead of him.
So let me see here. Let me go ahead.
Brian's out.
So, I mean, Singletary has been solid. He's getting a lot of touches. He had 26 touches last week, 5 catches. Obviously, Hunter I just picked up just as a what if, but honestly, Ingram's been a solid choice as well. Week 13 and 14, he had 18 points, 27 points. He's averaging well over 6 touches a game. I don't know where I'm going to go there. I don't know. I'm not going to give anything away, for Landon because he's be a little sneak over there.
I don't know what I can do, but okay.
The big question with me is do I play Geno or is Geno going to play regardless? Which I think he is.
Yes.
Well, you'll know. It's a 12 o'clock game. You'll know.
Yeah. The other question is, what do I do with Saquon? Do I play him over, say, Jacobs or Singletary?
Just going to throw out a couple numbers here, but Philly's been allowing over 150 yards rushing in their last their last 5 games. I don't know. I mean,
shut up, Gio.
Might be pretty good. I mean, I don't know.
Like
you think Case Keenum can get it done against the Cleveland defense? That's going to be really tough, I would imagine, if he's in instead of Stroud, right? So Case Keenum, that kind of maybe limits the hand of Singletary. I don't know. Just a few things.
Yeah, but wouldn't that give him more touches potentially?
If you're getting
they're not relying on him to throw
1 yard of carry, that's fine. Like, go ahead. Yeah, you're going to get more touches, but we don't play in a point per touch league, unfortunately.
I mean, he had 121 yards last game.
Cleveland's not Tennessee.
I'll take that all day.
Jeff, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have the rosters in front of you?
I do.
Okay. Give me a guy on each team that you are concerned is going to bust this week.
I mean, I kind of gave you one. I think Singletary might be a little bit of a bust this week, given
what
the Case Keenum. If Case Keenum plays, now it's something to watch. I mean, Stroud plays, and that certainly opens things up. I think Cleveland will have to play a little bit differently, but so that's something to watch for.
What about on Landon's team?
On Landon's team, I would. Oh man, I'll tell you what. I love AJ Brown this week. I mean, the Giants play the most amount of man of like any team, and he just goes bananas against man.
I like that.
Yeah, the guy I'd probably watch out for, or I'd be a little careful of. Pittman's in his lineup. That's the one guy I was like, he's not doing anything, right? Like, he's toast, but he's not playing this week. There's no chance.
Yeah, but he has Waddle thrown there, right?
No, he's already got Waddle playing.
I already got Waddle.
Yeah, he's got Waddle in there.
Cool. Oh, dude.
Kyler Murray, Chicago defense has been playing really solid, and it's in Chicago. It's supposed to be rainy.
Okay. Yeah, I might be going
Jalen Hurts isn't feeling well.
But I got Kyler Murray in one of my
Hurts
leagues too that I'm playing the playoffs, and I'm like, ooh. So I'm right there with you. I feel you. I know what you're dealing with.
This one, Brian. Who wins this one?
You're asking about the other game.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that matters.
Whoever the one seed is, Landon, right?
Moreau?
Yeah, going away.
Moreau wins, Landon or Chris?
I think Landon.
Oh boy, I don't like that.
Yeah, thank you, fellas.
Yeah,
the underdog.
I think if Chris plays the right guys, I'm just saying, I think he can pull this off.
What is it?
Hunter, all right, let's look at the other matchup.
He's got to pull it off.
Against another
Yeah, I mean, I just
no
5 games in a row, I pulled it out.
You're right.
That's what she said.
Looking at the other matchup, the 2 versus the 3, Moreau versus Bryden. Bryden, you have some very good players on your bench. Are you considering playing Metcalf or Swift, or have you decided on your starters?
Well, both Most and Jones are questionable right now. I'm sure Mostert will go. Jones, I don't know. Although he's got a pretty sweet matchup against Carolina. See, like him and Swift, Jones and Swift will be sort of a game time decision. DK, yeah. I'm still not decided if I'll start him or Nakua. And if Hill were to be a late scratch, because he's also got a questionable designation, he could definitely slip in.
Yeah,
how about Spears? I mean, Henry. Did you hear his interview, like kind of post game or whatever? It sounded like he was hanging it up almost, like he was
I'll tell
done.
you what. You know what, Gia? If we didn't have a fucking bench, I wouldn't have these problems.
These are good problems to have. These are good problems to have.
You know what? Mo money, mo problems. If you've got 2 quarterbacks, you've got none. It's just like, but you're right. They're fine problems to have because they're all capable players.
This is fantasy football at its best, making decisions.
Yeah.
Tough ones.
Tilting, as they say.
Suck it.
These guys on my bench would be on the fucking free agent pool.
Suck my
I'd
left
still be
nut.
picking one up and putting it in my roster.
Goddamn. Your team sucks.
Brian, looking at Moreau's team, which guy are you most concerned is going to go off for 40 points and just bury you?
Oh, hi, it's me. I'm Travis Kelce. I'm the problem. It's Travis Kelce.
Like, is he 100% cleared? Didn't he hurt his forearm last week?
Who the fuck cares, dude? That guy plays.
You're worried about Kelce?
Dude, Dallas on
You got injured. You got pulled out of the game.
Look at his points. Yeah, he hasn't scored over 12 points. Well, okay.
And you know what that means?
12, barely.
That means he's due. That means he's due. The
It's
receivers
Yeah, his
suck.
girlfriends do.
The receivers suck. The Raiders are not.
She Rice is pretty good.
The Raiders are not something to be afraid of. Yeah, they put up a lot of points last week, but their defense is nothing to write home about.
Aren't they in the playoff hunt? It's a big game for them.
The Raiders?
A lot of teams are in the playoff hunt. Okay, there's about five.
Motivation.
There's teams with 3 or 4 teams with losing records in each conference that are in the playoff hunt. So
That's what
that
you
doesn't
want?
say much. Yeah, I'm worried about Kelsey. He's just due. There've been a lot of booty chatter about the Chiefs and
Fields puts up 50 this week.
Yeah, he's gonna have a big game.
Okay, Fields is the other guy. He would be the second guy that I'm also worried about because Cardinals defense, I don't think they're anything good, and
No.
Fields is like a one-man show on that team.
Yep. Moreau, you are Chase is just going to be out. So who are you going to start in his place?
I'm looking. I'll probably move Lockett up, and I'll probably start Zeke. Be my guess, and just hope for a Zeke 20-point again. I'll need it. So,
Yeah.
Who are they playing? Who's Zeke playing? Denver.
How did you get in the playoffs again?
Fewest
Hey,
points against would be my guess.
He does have the fewest points against.
Yeah. You know what? You know what the second fewest points against? Braden. So
Yeah, but he also has one of the
But I
highest
also had the
points
most
for.
points.
Yeah.
No. Braden, first half of the season has some of the highest points. Since week 7, Braden's been over 125 points twice.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Take that, Bryden.
Since week
You know what?
7, I've been over 20
Someone did their research.
You play
Wow.
the opponent. You play the team against.
He came with
okay.
Oh, no one knows that better than me. I'm just saying we can both go high and both are pretty damn low. And since week 7, we are. I think it's going to come down to quarterback play, for me at least. Either Field shows up or he doesn't. Either Dak scores 25 or he doesn't. So if I can get past you, Dak at home, finally next week, we'll score 40 and I will beat Landon.
Oh,
need to
yes.
get
Please look
Wow.
ahead. Please look ahead more and talk about next week.
Grossman, let me ask you a question. What do you think about Let me ask you a question, Grossman. What do you think about, or Landon? What do you think about Tyler Boyd this weekend, or maybe like a Trenton Irwin, given the status of Jamar Chase?
No
Who is
thanks.
Cincy playing?
For
They're
who?
playing Pittsburgh?
For
Just kind of tossing it out there. They're playing Pittsburgh.
I would still play.
I mean, you have to
Zeke.
imagine. You
Not
gotta.
if he's playing, you'd still play
I would
Zeke
have
in
a
that.
very
You gotta
hard
imagine
time.
Higgins is going to be covered, right? Like,
I would have a really hard time trusting any of those guys in the playoffs personally, but
Yeah.
every lineup's different.
just roll the dice.
Yeah.
Hand me the
True.
bones, baby.
Jeff,
In the
looking at-
playoffs, though, you want to roll that dice?
Hey,
You might have to.
two-time champ for a reason.
Jeff, looking at the Moreau's team and Brian's team, give me again one guy who you are afraid is going to bust each roster.
Is this the Landon? Is this the Landon, or is this to me?
This is to you.
Oh, to me.
I'm trying to include you since you're not a playoff team.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you. So it's just good to get a little something. The guy I'm most concerned about from Bryden's team has to be George Kittle. Honestly, this week going into it, man, that Baltimore defense is going to be nasty. I don't know if this game's going to be a shootout game or if it's going to be kind of like low scoring or whatever. Obviously, San Francisco continues to put up points, whether they're playing Dallas or the Eagles even. So he could still have a big game. But that would be maybe the one guy that I'm kind of looking at there that might be a little bit of a bust. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. Like, do they just pack it in at this point? This is looking at Moreau's team. Like, are the Jets just done now that they're out of it, right? Do they not even care anymore? Or does Terry McLaurin continue to get shut down by what's a pretty good Jets defense? Do they have something to prove, even though they're like completely out of everything and they're, Aaron Rodgers is on IR. I mean, coming off of IR, but he's not playing anyways. So what's it matter? Like that's kind of where I lean on those two guys.
Okay. All right. Who wins this one? Chris. between Bryden and Moreau?
I would say 100% Bryden if Tyreek plays.
Okay.
If. You can say 100% if.
Yeah. 100% if 50% of his players play. Landon.
There you go.
I would love to play Moreau in the championship, but I think Bryden has the edge here. I'm going to go with Bryden.
Jeff?
I'll take Moreau's team. I actually I don't want to give a clean sweep. That's just no fair. But let's go Moreau. I mean, I think Fields, he could have a monster day.
Yeah,
Look, I mean, think about it. Who's going to be better as far as like going against the defense, Dak or Tua? Like Tua obviously faces Dallas. Dak is going to face Miami. I feel like Dak maybe has the edge there against the defense that they're going against. Dallas's defense being better, and they're going to have to score points. You imagine. If they don't, Tyreek Hill's going to be out of the mix. Mostert's going to be out of the mix. Right?
So you think A-Chain's going to do something?
Even if he
Dallas?
doesn't, like I'm just saying, he's got Dak. So if Dallas is able to win that game, like A-Chain against Hill and Mostert, I think could kind of there could potentially be no production there on the Miami side. Now I don't think that's going to happen. I think Miami's going to win the game. But I'm just saying, if it does, I don't even know what the line is for that game. 3.5, I would guess. I'm gonna look it up. But that's just a thought process, and that's why I'm going with Moreau there.
Okay. My prediction is Chris wins because Landon can't have nice things, and Moreau makes it to the finals.
1.5, not even 3.5. The line is 1.5. Miami by 1.5, and they're at home. Usually a home favorite is a 3-point favorite. So they're actually people are actually expecting Dallas to win that game.
You are countering your own argument there. It is going to be almost a toss-em. So look at it this way. How many touchdowns are going to come out of a game? That's how I look at it.
Sure.
This
look
game,
at the over-under.
There will be a lot because they're powerful
50.5.
offenses.
It's a lot.
They're good offenses. And if half of those points are going to come from Miami, the odds are they'll come from my players. And one of them will actively deny points coming from Moreau's team.
No.
Every time Mostert gets a touch or gets a score, or certainly when Hill gets a score, it's Achane not getting a score.
What if it's – yeah, exactly. I get that. But it's also Mostert not getting a score if it's going to Hill.
But if you had to guess which guy is going to run for a touchdown in this game, is it going to be Mostert or Achane?
Tua.
Achane.
I'm playing him. I'm going against Tua in another league. So it's probably going to be him.
Well, then Hill will get a touchdown too because who's throwing to Hill?
No, Tua's going to run it in because he's going to get 6 freaking points against me.
Tua would get concussed by a light breeze. He doesn't
You're
run.
Right. And if Tua gets knocked out, what happens to Tyreek Hill? What happens to Mostert?
And more importantly, more to Achane.
Yeah,
he's the bottom guy on that food chain.
He is.
Geoff,
if it's a 10 to 3, if it's a 10 to 7 game, right? If it's a 10 to 7 game, let's say it's
talk yourself into Moreau
17 to 13 game,
really
okay?
Yeah.
And Dallas wins. Like the defense wins. Dallas defense wins the game for them. Essentially, that means both your guys get shut down. That means Dallas, Dak probably had a better game than your other players. Like
in a 13
maybe he
to
threw
7
one touchdown
in a 13
compared to the other 2 guys
game,
that maybe they got one touchdown. But not
in
amongst
a
the 2 of them.
13 to 7 game, only one guy would score.
I'm saying my logic makes sense. You said my logic was flawed. You said my logic was like backwards. I mean, you're completely wrong.
Because it'd be a
It's fine.
2 defensive touchdowns. 2 defensive touchdowns.
Grossman, don't cut it off. Let it go. Grossman, let it go.
And Dak would be punished for the interceptions.
Grossman's regretting this decision.
Mute yourself, Grossman. Hey, Brian, what do you think? You think what's the final score between me and you?
I bet the first one to score 120 points could win. But I think it'll be close. I think it'll be close. I just don't know.
That's sad. Right, Landon? That's sad.
I do. I agree. I think we're both in the 120s. I think it's a 5-point game.
I agree.
Oh,
Your last matchup, by the way, was 98 to 96.
I was going to take the under, by the way. Yeah. I was totally going to take the under on that.
Yeah, that was during there were bye weeks going on at that time, if I'm not mistaken.
So next week he scored 160, I scored 152. Like who knows? Like that, both our teams are very capable and incapable at the same time.
Yeah,
very much agree.
Right. Well, that does it from me. If you guys want to just keep going, this is great. Fender will watch this whole thing. So
I'm talking about baseball.
He will. Fender texts me every week. When's the podcast coming
out?
Did you guys do one? When's the podcast?